All right, so you ready to dive into a tough one?
Always up for a challenge. What we got?
This one's all about letting go. You know, that feeling when you have to move on from someone you love, especially when it felt like they were the one.
Yeah, that's a heavy one for sure. The kind of thing that can really keep you up at night.
Exactly. And we've gotten a ton of questions about it. So we're doing a deep dive today, scrolling through some Reddit threads, picking the brain of a therapist on YouTube, even digging into some psychology articles, all to figure out how to navigate this whole letting go thing.
And the thing is, it's messy, right? It's not like there's this one-size-fits-all answer out there. Like, some folks on Reddit, they see it as a clean break. Like, cut all ties, done.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. But then others, they think it's more about finding a way to be at peace with the past, even if that person is still around in some way.
So which is it? Is there even one right way to define letting go?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's different for everyone. Like, one story that really got me, there's this woman on Reddit. She found love again in her 70s, years after her husband passed away.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right. And it just shows you, love doesn't have a limit. Moving on, finding new happiness, it doesn't diminish the love you felt before.
It's like our hearts have unlimited data for love.
I love that. And, you know, another thing to keep in mind, accepting that a relationship is over doesn't mean you're saying everything was okay.
Right. It's not about erasing the past or pretending it didn't happen.
Exactly. It's about changing how you relate to it, how you carry that past love with you.
So not hitting the delete button, more like hitting save, but moving it to a different folder, one you don't open every day.
Exactly. It's a process. Like, think about a physical injury, right?
Right.
You might have a scar, a reminder of what happened, but the pain, that fades. You learn to live with it, you know? It doesn't define you.
It makes me think about those what-if spirals. Like, one Redditor, they were saying their ex basically destroyed everything, changed their whole life's path. And it's easy to get stuck in that loop, right? Imagining different choices, different outcomes.
Oh, absolutely. We can torture ourselves with those what-ifs. And that's why it's so important to remember, it's okay to not be okay. Like, allow yourself to grieve, to feel the anger, the sadness, the confusion, whatever comes up.
Don't bottle it up.
Exactly. Because pushing those feelings down, that just makes them stick around longer.
There was this technique, this therapist on YouTube, she called it the leaves on a stream exercise.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's a visualization thing, right?
Yeah. It's like you picture yourself by a stream. Every thought, every feeling you have about this person, you write it on a leaf and watch it float away.
I like that. It's a good reminder that we can't control everything.
Right. And I love how she put it. She was like, you can't control the stream, but you can control what you choose to hold on to.
And that's a powerful thing, right? Because you can't control another person's actions, but you can control how you react, what you choose to focus on.
So we're talking about taking control where we can.
Yeah.
Right. Even when it feels like things are totally out of our hands, which actually reminds me, we're going to dive into those red flags. Like, how do you know when it's time to let go, even if it's not a clear-cut breakup?
Oh, yeah, those red flags. That's something a lot of people struggle with because it's not always obvious, is it? And it's not just about romantic relationships either.
Right. Friendships, family, that coworker who's always got it out for you.
Exactly. Any relationship, really. When it's doing more harm than good, when it's dragging you down instead of lifting you up.
How do you know for sure, though? Like, what are some of those signs?
Well, one article we came across, they had this whole list, 10 major red flags.
Ooh, I love a good list. Lay it on me.
All right, so number 1, lack of emotional trust and safety. Like that gut feeling that you can't truly be yourself, you know? Share those vulnerable parts of yourself without being judged.
Or even worse, having those things used against you later.
Exactly. And when that happens, it's like this fundamental need isn't being met. A relationship can't thrive on that. Another big one, constant negativity, the kind that eats away at your self-esteem.
Ugh, I've dealt with that. Always a criticism, a put down, just waiting to undermine you. It's exhausting.
And so damaging in the long run. Think about some of those Reddit stories, right? Partners who belittle their significant other's achievements or discourage them from growing.
Oh, I know, right? It's like their own insecurities are bubbling over onto you.
Exactly. And then you start questioning your own worth, your own judgment.
All because of someone else's baggage.
And this is a key thing to remember. It's not your job to fix anyone else's emotional baggage or to put up with behavior that makes you feel small.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, this list is gold. What else we got?
Okay, let's see. Refusal to apologize or take responsibility for their actions.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right, like that Redditor, their partner literally kicked them out when they were sick because he didn't want to get sick.
Oh my God, no. Seriously.
Yeah. I know, extreme example, but you see what I mean? It's a lack of basic empathy, a disregard for your well-being.
Total red flag.
And it goes hand in hand with feeling constantly unappreciated or taken for granted.
Oh, yeah. It's like you become invisible.
Right. Your efforts, your feelings, they just don't matter. And then you have jealousy, attempts to control what you do, who you see.
Control freaks. Ugh.
Yeah.
I've got a few family members who could use a lesson on boundaries.
Because in a healthy relationship, there's respect. You acknowledge that the other person has the right to make their own choices.
Right. You're not asking permission. You're not seeking approval.
You're free to be yourself. Okay, here's one that's a little more subtle. Do you feel drained after spending time with this person?
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like they suck all the energy out of you.
Right, like emotional vampires. It's not always intentional, but it's something to pay attention to. How do those interactions make you feel?
Because a healthy relationship, that should energize you, not drain you dry.
100%.
So let's say you're seeing these red flags, maybe even a whole parade of them. What are some practical things you can do to actually start letting go?
Honestly, sometimes the hardest part is just admitting it to yourself, like, okay, this isn't working, accepting that letting go is necessary.
And that doesn't mean you're forgetting about the good times or like excusing any pain, right?
Right, but you're acknowledging that it's not healthy to stay stuck where you are.
It's like finally letting go of this death grip you have on what was, even if it feels like you're letting go of a part of yourself in the process.
And that's where self-compassion comes in. Be kind to yourself.
Give yourself permission to grieve what could have been.
Yes. And remember, you are not alone in this. This is where your support system comes in. Friends, family, a therapist. Talk to someone.
Vent it out. One Redditor actually had this phrase, it made me laugh at first, but it's true. They were talking about emotionally masturbating.
Okay, that's a visual for sure.
Right. But what they meant was like breaking free from those idealized fantasies we build up around someone.
Letting go of the highlight reel.
Exactly. And seeing the relationship for what it really was, not what you wish it had been.
Which is often a lot less glamorous, right?
For sure. So how do you actually do that? Like, how do you quiet those what ifs?
Well, that's where that shift comes in. From what if to what now?
So instead of dwelling on a past you can't change, you start focusing on building the future you want.
Exactly. And that future. It's full of potential, new relationships, new adventures, a deeper understanding of who you are, what you truly want.
Speaking of new relationships, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is letting go really about falling asterisk of love with someone?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's one right answer.
Like I was reading this one thread and someone was saying that true love, like real love, it never really disappears. It just transforms into something different.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said for that. And someone else, they were comparing it to how a mother loves each of her children, It's not like there's a limited supply.
So maybe it's not about erasing those feelings completely, but finding a way to like carry them with you without letting them hold you back.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It takes strength to acknowledge those feelings, those experiences, and let them become part of your story without letting them take over the whole narrative,
It's like those people who find love again after heartbreak, sometimes years later. Like our hearts are capable of healing and opening up in ways we never thought possible.
That's the thing about the human heart, right?
Yeah.
So resilient. And it brings us to this whole idea of wishing the other person well. Not saying you condone any hurt, but just genuinely releasing that negativity.
So it's not about forgetting or even forgiving necessarily.
Right. It's more about finding a new perspective, you know? One that allows for peace and maybe even compassion.
It's like recognizing that everyone's on their own journey, making their own choices. And even the people who hurt us, they're capable of growing and changing too.
Absolutely. One thing I read about this, actually, they were talking about this Buddhist loving kindness meditation where you practice sending these well wishes out to the world.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah. First to yourself.
Yeah.
Then to loved ones. And eventually you even get to a point where you can send them to the people who've hurt you.
Wow. It sounds kind of impossible when you're in it, but I get it.
It's about recognizing that holding on to anger and resentment, it hurts you more than anyone. Letting go, that's what frees you from that burden.
It's less about them then, and more about reclaiming your own peace.
Exactly. Which, this might sound counterintuitive, but it leads to gratitude.
Even for the pain. That's a tough one. How do you even wrap your head around that?
It's not about being grateful for the pain itself, right? It's about reflecting on what you learn from the experience, how you grew from it.
Like that Redditor who was saying they were actually grateful for this passionate, like, movie-like love they had with their ex, even though it didn't work out.
Yeah, because it taught them something.
It showed them what it felt like to truly love and be loved.
Which is a powerful thing to realize, even if the relationship didn't last. It's about asking yourself, what did I learn about myself? What are my non-negotiables in a relationship? How have I grown?
So even in heartbreak, there's this potential for, like, uncovering these hidden strengths, this wisdom you didn't even know you had.
Absolutely. And those are powerful tools to carry with you as you move forward. They help you navigate future relationships with more awareness, more resilience.
So it's not about erasing those past experiences. It's about, like, weaving them into who you are.
Yes. They've shaped you, right? For better or worse, they're part of your story.
And in doing that, you make space for something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
New love, new connections, new possibilities.
It all comes back to that question we started with. How do you let go of someone you thought was the one?
It's such a universal experience.
It is. And it's easy to get caught up in that fairy tale, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's one perfect person out there who's going to complete you. But what if, instead of searching for the one, we focused on becoming the best versions of ourselves?
Ooh, I like that.
Open to love, open to growth, embracing all the messy, beautiful chaos that life throws at us.
That is a powerful shift in perspective because it takes courage, right? To be vulnerable, to step outside that comfort zone, to be open to those unexpected detours.
Because sometimes those people we thought were the one, they turn out to be stepping stones on the path to self-discovery.
And those stepping stones, they might bring some pain, but they can lead to a deeper understanding of what you want, what you really need in a relationship.
We're constantly evolving, right? And what we need, what we want in a partner, that evolves too.
100%. What might have seemed like a perfect fit at one point in your life, it might not align with who you are now.
So letting go is not a failure.
Absolutely not.
It's not a sign that you did anything wrong. It's just, sometimes it's just a natural part of growth.
Right. Both as individuals and in our relationships. And, you know, it's important to remember this too. It's rarely a linear process.
Like one day you're great, the next you're like back to square one.
Totally. There might be moments when you feel like you've moved on and then bam, you get hit with a random memory or you run into them at the grocery store.
Those surprise waves of grief, like years later.
Exactly. It happens. And that's okay. It's normal. Just a little reminder that healing takes time.
And it's not about erasing the past. It's about learning to carry it in a way that doesn't weigh you down.
Yes. Make peace with it.
So to the listener who asked about letting go, we hope this has given you some things to think about, some new ways to approach it. It's a journey, that's for sure.
It is a journey, and you're not alone in it. A lot of us have been right where you are. And as hard as it is, trust me, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Be kind to yourself. Grieve what you need to grieve, but don't get stuck there.
Yes. Focus on taking care of you and trust that the universe, whatever higher power you believe in, there's a plan, even when you can't see it.
And who knows? Maybe letting go of that idea of the one, maybe that opens you up to something even better.
A love that celebrates all those messy, beautiful, perfectly imperfect pieces of who you are.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
This has been great. Until next time, keep asking those tough questions and keep diving deeper into life's mysteries.